Hello, I'm State Representative Nan Baker from the 16th Ohio House District. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Charles Willoughby. We have with us today State Representative Nan Baker, who serves the 16th House District, which includes Bay Village, Fairview Park, North Olmsted, Rocky River, and Westlake. Thank you for joining us, Representative.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Well, this is your second term here in the House of Representatives, but
It
why
is.
don't we start with a little bit of a background on your career?
Well, just basically I have two daughters and one son, and my husband Craig and I have been married about 36 years, and we have lived in Westlake, my hometown, for over 20 years. We are a 32-year business owner, so we are very entrenched in my district. As I said, we live and work in the same district that I represent. Also, I served on school board for 4 years and city council for 9 years, and was past president of the West Shore Chamber of Commerce. Very active in that Chamber of Commerce and still serve as their Board of Trustee member. So we are very much involved in what it is that we do and as we work and live and raise our family in the district that I represent.
And was the involvement part of what inspired you to run for state representative here?
It was. Sally Conway Kilbane, which was the former state representative who served until she was term limited, encouraged me to consider running for this office. And I thought about, and until she did, I really hadn't thought about it. But I realized with my educational background, serving on school board and serving on city council and understanding local government, but most importantly, being a 32-year small business owner, really put in perspective for me that I thought I could contribute in helping those small businesses that really are having a difficult time right now surviving and making ends meet, that I could contribute in that way.
Well, being a small business owner is most definitely a great experience, but certainly a different experience than being a state representative. Has it been everything you've expected it to be?
It has. I mean, I think that it has been very challenging in these last, actually these last 6 months, but we are making some very difficult and historic changes that I think is setting us on a path for prosperity here in Ohio. We are making a sharp turn, which we need to make. These changes probably should have been installed years ago, but there's nothing like a crisis that puts you in the right place to do the right things. And I think that we are on the path to making decisions that will help not only small businesses, but also generally our Ohioans that are really in need of a very desirable work environment that I think that our administration is proposing.
In Ohio, there's 99 House districts, and what would you say would be one issue or challenge that makes your district unique that they're facing today?
Probably two, I would put at the top two if I were to say it. One, school funding is always challenging. We are considered to be a wealthy district, which unfortunately usually means that we get very little state aid and funding, and yet we are a district that averages maybe 60 to 70,000 a year in household income. We usually have students that have student loans. Most in my district have mortgages on their homes. They do all the right things. They believe in education. They pay their bills and their taxes, and for that they're considered wealthy. And we really need to perhaps analyze what it is, why it is that we categorize districts like that, and perhaps give them less than what it is that they should be getting, given the contributions that they make. Also, probably a different tier, but also still as important, is unemployment. We probably aren't hit with unemployment as hard as other districts, but we certainly have underemployment. We have those that are struggling with 2 jobs. Many pay freezes have been part of my district. Our students, our kids are leaving our state because can't find the jobs that perhaps they're trained for. So that's probably a second tier that I would say our district is struggling with.
Well, as many in your district are probably aware, and some around the State House are aware, Representative Baker, your motto since becoming state representative has been "It's all about jobs." Would you share with us some of the legislative initiatives that you've worked on that focus on job creation and retention?
Absolutely. I'm always glad to talk about that. And as I say, it is all about jobs. I mean, we can cut and we can streamline government, and we really need to do that. And I'm certainly in favor of doing what we can to balance our budget. But it really is about getting people back to work with good paying jobs. It's about people contributing back to their families or community, their state, and they can only do that by being employed. We created in the last GA the Future of Ohio Jobs Package, and I'm very pleased to say that 9 of those 10 bills have been either dropped, discussed, debated, or passed. And bills like the Vacant Property Tax Credit, which is House Bill 18, we have been discussing, we'll be bringing back in the fall of this year. That is a bill that allows employers who expand their payroll and move into a vacant building, which we certainly have districts that are blighted with vacancies, that if they expand their payroll and go into a vacant building, they would be given an incentive to do that. Tax credits for Ohio graduates and specialized crafts. Representative Grossman was another Future of Ohio job bill. She is now in the direction of dropping that bill and getting support for that bill, so I'm really pleased with her progress on that. The estate tax relief is part of our budget, so I'm glad to see that we will be helping small businesses in that way, those that live in cities and unfortunately may die in those cities. Those families will not have to give up those funds to the state and to their cities because it's a tax that we're trying to eliminate. The small business regulatory reform was a big bill that Lieutenant Governor Mary Taylor initiated. It went through our committee, was part of our Future of Ohio Job Package bill. I'm very pleased to say that that has now been passed into law. The Small Business Resource Portal is a bill that we are actually working outside of legislation. We're working with the Ohio Department of Administrative Services, and they have been very responsive in working with our small business groups in improving the Ohio Business Gateway. So that's an exciting piece of work that is outside now the legislative process, but certainly started with a House bill in the last GA. The private sector comp time bill passed through our committee that is allowing businesses to negotiate with their employees if they both agree to trade overtime for comp time. That gives flexibility to the employee who may want time off with their family, and also helps the employer if there's times when things are slower. That we're waiting on a few pieces that need to be completed before we can move ahead with that bill through the House. But it's an exciting bill to help small businesses of 100,000 to 500,000 in gross sales. And then finally, tracking job placement success and analyzing company exodus. Those are 2 under Governor Kasich's administration that we don't have to pursue. He certainly is watching what it is we're doing with businesses to make sure that we have a chance to keep them here if they are considering leaving. So I am very pleased with our progress on our Future of Ohio Job Package bill. We have one tax credit to hire unemployed Ohioans. We have not dropped that bill yet. We are considering moving forward on that in Ways and Means. So we are on task for what it is we said we were going to do, and now we are following through.
Well, it certainly sounds like you've been very busy with that legislation, with expanding into empty buildings, tax credits. Are there other issues, or I'm sure there's other issues you've been working on regarding economic development? Could you share any of those with us as well?
Sure. We have 2 bills. One is the Research and Business Parks. We have been talking with the Ohio Department of Development, and they have been interactive in this bill, and we think that we'll probably drop it this week. It really is the business park fosters collaborative efforts among educators, researchers, and businesses performing world-class research and development in growing scientific areas. And I know that's a mouthful, but it really is an innovative idea of trying to get medical, science, technology, and business all in the same environment, so that we can foster growth in those areas. And we are working, as I said, with the Department of Development, and we hope to drop that bill this week.
Well, in addition to the legislation we're working on economic development, you're also the chairman of the Economic and Small Business Committee. Could you tell us a little bit about committee and what legislation you've been working on or that you've gotten through your committee?
Sure. And it is an honor to be chair of the Economic and Small Business Development Committee. It is a great fit for me. We have members that are very interactive in that committee and are ready to go on any legislation that we're talking about. So it's a pleasure to be there. Many of the bills that I discussed went through our committee. As I said, the comp time bill went through, the regulatory reform bill went through. We are also talking about a bill, House Bill 220, which is a foreign investment for Ohio jobs. And that is a federal program that we are considering offering an incentive to get the federal program of international investors to invest in Ohio. And that has been a bill that we have been discussing at length. We'll probably continue to discuss as we get back after the summer months. But it is a very exciting and potentially great bill for Ohio and Ohio workers.
Especially bringing jobs from other states, countries to Ohio, creating jobs. And as you well know, and as many people do know, Governor John Kasich has been extremely concerned and motivated about job creation and retention in Ohio.
Right.
And shortly after taking office, he proposed Jobs Ohio, which was then taken up by Representative Mike Duffy,
Right.
which became House Bill 1. Could you give us your perspective and some insight into what Jobs Ohio is?
Well, we are as excited as he is. It is really a board of business owners, successful business owners, that will come together and determine what it is we need to do to create a better business environment, a more friendly business environment. And that in itself is something we have never done before. We tend to bring things up through government, and this is a concept where we're bringing business people around the table to ask them what it is we need to do in order to create a better business environment, whether it's regulatory reform or incentives to looking to other states to bring those here, or even looking as we are internationally to bring those investments here. I think that once we get past this budget and get it balanced, which we will at the end of June, end of this month, we will definitely be full speed ahead on the Jobs Ohio and the proposals that Governor Kasich will be bringing forward, and we will be ready to go on what it is that he will be proposing.
Well, once we get past this budget, which is quite a large bill,
Yeah.
now in the budget process, Governor Kasich proposes the budget. We work through committee.
Yes.
Right now, it's in a conference committee group of a few members, select members from each side. Now that'll be done at least by June 30th or July 1st, hopefully.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And shortly thereafter, something that maybe some of your staff may be looking forward to would be a brief summer legislative recess, which is a little break from votes. But I know that you're still going to be working on economic development issues,
Yes.
working with your constituents in the district. Could you give us a little bit of a summary of what you will be expecting, or what you and the caucus members you're with will be working on over the recess?
We have already come together and created what we call a call to action, and we are asking our members to go back to their districts this summer and visit as many of their businesses as they can. Ask them whether they think we're on the right track, what can we do better, what is it that they need from us in order to create a better environment. We are asking that they also write letters and try to get some feedback that way, but to also physically go and meet with those business people, and then come back, when they come back after their break, to follow up with those business owners to make sure that we heard correctly what they said. If there is legislation that we are going to create based on what we heard, ask for their input and perhaps engage in the process to help get that legislation through. So it is an exciting time for us here at the Ohio House, and it doesn't stop just because we're on break. We are going to get back to our districts and do the work that we need to do to help our Ohioans get back to work.
Well, I think that recess word is a little misleading, since it's
I
continuing.
agree.
It's probably just as busy, if not more, back in the district.
Right.
Well, Representative, thank you very much for meeting with us today. I know that you have a lot on your plate, and you've been working diligently in trying to create jobs and create a business environment here in Ohio.
Right.
And we appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day today to meet with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Representative.
Welcome.
We look forward to seeing you again on the next edition of Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. Thank you for joining us.